Beautiful.
For sure.
All right, I gotta wait so long to see you guys move and just bam at the same time.
I'm ready, man. I'm fast.
Okay, who wants to open it? You want to open it for the first time? Open your first episode?
Yeah, let him open it.
With what? What do I say?
You can just go intro the show. And like, hey, welcome back to the...
Welcome, incels and bitches. This is the Top of the Bottom podcast. We're here with this sexy fiend, and we're here with this marshmallow man, and your favorite retard. And today we're going to be talking about sex offenders.
Hey.
That's right. A staple of our show, as longtime listeners may realize, is that we love talking about sex offenders for some odd reason. But this time, it's another discussion episode. It's another open conversation panel type episode. And we're going to talk about what I believe is an epidemic going on in the country. And that is white, middle-aged, female school teachers having sex with their teenage male students. Right? It's going to be very specific because I want to ask questions about those particular demographics.
Yeah.
And why that's the case. Kind of like we did in the last episode. I'll start off with a question. I started off with you first, Jay, last time, so this time I'll start off with you, Nemo. So, middle-aged white female school teachers.
Ooh.
What's going on?
Ooh.
What do you think? Why do you think this is going on for so long? I mean, most of the stories I find where they're posted is it's the New York Times, the New York Post. The New York Post just loves throwing all these pictures of these. Well, sometimes hot, sometimes it's a hit or miss of these teachers on their thing. It's like the nicest picture they can find of them. They say, oh, this teacher had sex with their student. Their students are 16 years old, 15 years old, 14 years old. The one I just saw like last month was 11 years old.
And these are all female teachers too. Huh?
They're all female, they're all white, and they're all 20s up to 27 to 37, so in that age range.
Okay.
So like middle-aged. I guess my question to you is why do you think this is happening?
The husbands aren't hitting it right.
Damn. We went from the last episode like trying to help me, now we're just putting them down. Just right off the bat.
Right.
Just immediately, it's the men's fault. Elaborate.
Well, so then they can't get up and you need a young to really help you.
Good, Jay. Same question to you.
Why you're saying why is this happening so often?
Why do you think this is happening? Why do you think this is happening? Very general. Like, we don't have to get specific because we're going to get specific later. But right now, generally, why do you think this is happening?
I just think that, I don't know. So nowadays, these kids got some riz, and these ladies like the attention from the younger crowd. To be in general.
In general, very general. Honestly, I know I blamed the internet on the last issue. I feel like that's still the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still the internet, or in a sense, it's cell phones, right? Because one of the main connections that all of these stories often has is they're always texting the students after schools. And the parents find out about the text messages. That's how this happens, right? They go, the parents saw the kid texting somebody. They're like, who are you texting? Texting all the time. They look at the phone. They find the teacher's text messages. This didn't happen before because, one, the teachers were usually very much a lot older. Two, there was no real way to be discreet. If they mailed the letter to the kid, who gets the letter first? The parents.
Yeah.
The parents first.
You'd think they'd be smarter since they're teachers.
Well, I mean, they I'm sure they teach certain elements, but they don't teach technology, right? So there's no real way for them to, I guess, be more discreet. They're not like those Telegram users, those pedophiles on Telegram.
Yeah.
They're not like Epstein, a professional.
Yeah, exactly.
Jared Fogle, bring the kids over by tomorrow.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard the story about Jared Fogle, but like there's been like a lot of documentaries on him, and one of the ones was that he had like a lot of protections on his computer, used VPNs to figure out ways to get past. What happened was he used his work computer at one point, and that's how he got caught.
And there was a woman that was trying to get him for years. That was, I forgot which documentary I saw, that she was trying to get him to admit it and stuff, over the phone. he wouldn't bite. It's almost like he always kind of knew in the back of his head.
Oh no, you're right. It's
Yeah.
got Josh Duggar had it on his work computer.
And then
this is Jerry Fogle.
then he like slipped. He slipped. He said something, and she's like, "I got him," and then it all started to fall apart.
Because he worked with kids a lot in his charities.
There was a whole
Well, I remember Josh Duggar. He told
the younger the better.
Yeah.
Huh.
Josh Duggar I think he told the woman about it because he was like trying to get her to like a kink. He's like, "Oh, I got kinks. I like kids." That's kind of like I guess was his resolution, and she was weirded out by it. But at first she didn't tell the police or anything because she was just like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And she was dating him, like just going out with him, and then
didn't Josh Duggar touch his sister when they were kids?
Yeah, molested one of his sisters, and the parents kind of like went to bat for him instead of their daughter that they got violated.
That's crazy.
Yeah, all the Jim Bob and what's her name? Jim Bob and Susan. Yeah, Jim Bob and Susan.
I don't remember names.
Yeah.
I just remember wild actions.
Because there was a documentary on Amazon Prime that I saw called Happy Christian Family or Happy Good Family, something like that, and they exposed the entire church they were part of, but they have to use the Duggars as the biggest draw. But it's like a 6-part documentary. The whole documentary is just based on that church and how that's kind of like okay to do for them there. And but the Duggars were the biggest draw, and so the first few episodes talk about the Duggars, and one of the episodes is how they go to bat for Josh, and they kind of abandoned the daughter that was molested. They made her go on an interview and say she was fine with it, like it didn't bother her.
Wow.
That they talked about it and he apologized. There's a clip that surfaced from the Duggars show where he's like, "Well, we are in Alabama." When he's talking about his sisters and getting with his sisters, he's like, "Well, we're in Alabama, so it makes sense."
It makes sense. Yeah.
But I think technology, and I don't want to sound like a boomer, but technology and the internet makes it a whole lot easier for these adults to get in touch with kids. Obviously, we see it on Roblox, on Discord. These adults can use technology, and the parents that are in control of these kids, they aren't paying attention to what their kids are doing online. They don't have any watch like apps, or they don't check their kids' phones who they're texting.
Yeah.
And maybe that seems a little invasive, but then you get issues like this happening all the time. So I think it's happening more because of the internet. I don't think it just started. I think it's always been the case.
Mm-hmm.
But they would just do it in a classroom, like you see like on those old shows. They have like teachers approaching the kids in the classroom.
Yeah.
I think technology just made it more accessible to go outside of the classroom.
Yeah, definitely. Especially to get in contact directly with, the kids themselves too. Because at some points through class programs, you kind of have to interact with the kids, like where you're still able to create chats and stuff to talk to them about school stuff, homework and shit.
Because you see a lot of these, I think I've seen some teachers say that they were pregnant with the student's child, and a lot of times they are married, like I brought up that they're married, they're unhappy in their marriage, or their husband's abusive, or or they buy hotel rooms to meet the kids at.
Ooh,
that's crazy. They text sometimes to them about how much they're like making out with him. That was the 11-year-old one. I was like, this is insane.
That's insane. I think it's just because also I think the power dynamic has to play within it. Kids are very, very influenced. They're very influenced. So I think that's a point where they feel like, oh, I can control someone. Let me see how far I can go with controlling them. Like it'll get to that point.
Do you think there's an element of people teaching their kids to respect authority that kind of plays into this?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's always that thing going where you have to respect your elders for sure. People above you, they know more, so you should listen to their advice, take their advice and stuff. So yeah, I think that does play a big part in how they would end up in that sort of situation.
Because we kind of see those PSAs that are like, oh, the stranger is talking to you, you feel uncomfortable, tell an adult, tell your teacher, tell the police, or tell your parents. And in those 3 categories of authority, teachers are one of them. So what if the teacher's the one doing it? How are you going to prepare your kids to do that?
They already marks them as like a safe spot, a safe space.
What do you think?
Honestly, technology is playing a role in it, but playing a role as in you're seeing it more because technology, you could learn more things. Like you hear tons of stories of people say, I lost my virginity to the teacher, old back then in the 80s, the 70s, whatever. It always has happened. It's been happening. It just wasn't as prevalent. People weren't getting caught because technology wasn't as advanced as it is now.
Yeah.
So it's always been happening. Yeah, so it's always been happening. It's always been happening. You just see it now because of technology. It's coming out there. But for years, a lot of people will tell you stories. Oh, I fucked my gym teacher. This is this, whatever. I lost my virginity to my teacher. It's been happening. You just didn't know because of the technology.
And that's the other thing. It's kind of glorified too amongst it, especially when it comes to like female teacher, male student. It's like, what do they call it? A fantasy, right? Every boy's fantasy is to get with a teacher and whatever. So
and also it's it has to do that today's it's a couple of things. It's that and two more points. It's the teachers are hot. They're fucking hot. They're good looking. They're young, good looking women. So there's that. You put good looking hot women who are educators that they see every day and get close. They look pretty. They smell good to young, horny, hormonal boys.
Yeah.
Instant attraction. These girls are young and impressionable too. They're still young. Some of them teachers now I've seen that they're 20, 21. They just got out of high school,
so young, yeah.
And they're back in there. So there's that aspect. There's that things are going to happen. Doesn't matter if they're an adult and you say, oh, that's a child. It just naturally is going to happen because of all that environment. The fourth thing, I think is the most important. We live in such a high sexualized society now. Pornography. You got what's the slang? 304s and all this stuff. Just bops, booties, the huzz. It's just everything is just on there. Like, and go on my Instagram, I just see a fat ass immediately. It's like everything is just so on there. So you put that, kids see that, young boys, hormonal, very horny, that on there with beautiful women who are, not too far from their age, 5 years apart or so. I'm like 21, 24, whatever. If they're like 17, 16, it's still young. All that environment with the pornography and the sexualization of the internet, Instagram, it's creating this. It's creating a disaster. It's the high sexualization of females, of Instagram. It's all that shit, and it's just corrupting their minds. And then they go and then they see that, and then it's just happening more. When before you didn't see it because we didn't have technology. There wasn't a strong sexualization, and there's a
fetishization.
Yeah, of I see weird things. People dress like babies and stuff. Like like the lolly thing and stuff like that. And like you got that weird stuff. So you're putting like this kind of weird innocent kid fetish on Instagram where young kids and young girls see that, they emulate that, young boys see that, and then you add in young teachers who are also viewing that same thing. You're just creating a disgusting, pot of just trouble is going to happen. Yeah. It just goes to the internet. It's just overall the internet is just, it's corrupt.
Yeah, they think it's like whatever they see on the internet kind of gets transferred over into reality.
Yeah, it's corrupting the young male mind. They're viewing sexuality, sex, and females very differently than what it is in real life due to the internet. And then the internet, as you know, they make money off of this. So
yeah, they praise it. They go, oh, wouldn't I wish I had a hot teacher like that when I was in school?
Yeah, then you got them doing that. Then you got Instagram running ads and certain runtime that feeds you more of this smut, so that way you can continue staying on there.
These same kids who grow up on those same ideas and then they start spreading it. Once they you see some of them become influencers stuff, and a lot of their audience are like younger, impressionable kids. So it's like they grew up with that idea. They make it more like commonly known, or they make it as like a sort of a common behavior. So that's I feel like they feel more freely to do so since they're seeing their idol kind of go out and do all this other shit too.
Right, and I think you're right on a lot of those points because they're kids and they're easily impressionable. The social sexualization of human beings on Instagram and social media all across is very rampant, along with bots and AI. There's a lot of AI sex bots that exist. So I do want to recenter that focus on rather than the kids, because I don't want to blame the kids for getting in this situation. A lot of them you see, they talk about how, some are traumatized. Like, look, I felt like pressured. I felt like I was violated. I didn't want to do it, but she was my teacher. Some that talk say that. Some others don't really talk because they're minors and their parents don't let them. Their parents are usually just very disgusted by these teachers. The husbands say, I didn't know she was capable of something like this. They're less shocked at, I think, I would say a very insecure man might be like, she cheated on me, and that'll be their first, the first thought.
Yeah.
When a sensible man would be like, you kid, it's like it's crazy.
Because
Yeah.
the men also probably feel that, they are a certain way. They're very sexual. They have a certain, maybe this weird, kinky type of innocent kid-like thing, that they're into or they do. And then when it happens, they could be like, oh, I can't see this, happening, but it doesn't shock them as much because they know their wife better, and whatever that they do in their bedroom is probably very, fetishized or whatever, and just spill over. So people who already have that in them, like if you're not the kid that's going to fuck the teacher, then you already have all that stuff in you, and you grow up and then you become a teacher, and then it's just transferring over. It's like a circle. It's just continuing the pattern. They are fed this, and if they're not doing it, then they go into a teacher position if they want to educate, and then they prey on someone who's being fed this, and then there's a connection, and the wheel just continues spinning.
And I think, I guess I kind of want to ask you guys, because they're adults, right? How do you think they come to the conclusion that this is going to work out, that this is okay to do? I know the first point you made was that the husband's not hitting it right, but that's one reason. But you think when their mind is going through, like, what is their justification? Like, how do you think they get to that point?
Women love the chase. There's been studies showing that women mostly date for the feeling of something new and an adventure. And then, like I said, a lot of these teachers, they're young and they're beautiful. They still are young girls. They just got out of high school. They just got out of college, or they're in college or whatever.
We're all for the middle-aged ones.
For the middle-aged ones?
Like 27 to 37.
27, if they're above 30, probably it's just what they have been consuming on the internet, erotic books, Twitter. It's always filled with a bunch of weird type of like design art. It's very sexualized things that they want to do. Like I said, it's a study to show women are very like they like the thought of something new in relationships, that chase that whole new experience, compared to when men mostly kind of just stay and would prefer to stay in one relationship, So it's that kind of thing with women already, and then they're put in a place where there's a lot of hormonal boys that want what they want and what they're seeing, and then those things will kind of clash. Whether they're young or even if they're older, there's always something there it's behind. It's always going to be in them. It's when they were young, they never fully, grew out of it and matured. They're still filled with all that smut and shit, and then they're just put in this environment where it's just there, and it's just there's a connection happens, and then it's wrong decisions are made. And again, I just blame a lot of the internet. There's just way too much sex and porn in the internet, and it's just corrupting the mind.
Yeah, what about you? How do you think they come to the justification of their actions? Like that while they see it, they're like, hey, I find this kid attractive. That obviously has to cross their mind. And whether or not they say, I shouldn't think like this, because some of their texts, they don't seem like that thought crosses their mind. Right?
Yeah, no, I think that a part of it is that because we've seen this happen a lot. I think part of it is they maybe would have a thought of like, well, maybe I can get away with it, when it comes down to that. That would mix like Nehemiah was saying, they're still young, they still have a lot of these tendencies in them, and then I feel like but talking about the middle age, right? I feel like the nostalgic feeling gets combined with all that because they want to feel young. They want that rush that they used to get. They want to feel different again. They sometimes yearn for that sort of excitement. And I feel like once they get to it, and that first time comes, and then they get away with it. They had that rush, and like, okay, I got away with it. I can do it again, maybe. I feel like it starts to snowball into more and more and more, and then they start to get not careless, but just careless. Basically,
gets clouded.
Yeah, it gets clouded, and they know they're doing wrong, but they just, again, I feel like they feel that because sometimes they've seen cases happen, time after time, maybe they feel like they can get away with it since they feel like they learned something from these cases before.
Like, the best way how I could give an example of this is like an anecdotal experience of me. Like, when I was younger and we would go to the market, I would always put my finger and steal the change in the charity box thing, right? And I would take a little bit, and I was like, no one noticed, and I just kept going, and kept going until one day a store employee got really mad. Was like, stop stealing. That's that's for a charity. Whatever. I see you. You always do that, but now you're going. You keep taking. You're taking this. You gotta stop that. And my mom was like, well, no, he's not doing nothing. She knew I did it, but she was still defending me.
Yeah.
I go, no, he didn't do it. I had all this change I've been stealing every time we go in the market, putting my finger in that little charity box, taking it. It's kind of like that. They try a little like, oh, little flirtation or whatever. It's like, oh, he's a young boy, whatever. He. The boy gets more bolder and how they are, kids are.
Yeah.
And, keep
Exactly.
dipping their finger in a little bit more, and just a little bit more and a little bit more, and then next thing you know, whoa, I'm on. and then by then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and then you've gone too far, and then when the cops come and everything, that's the equivalent of the manager telling me, I know you've been stealing. You've been stealing from charity. You're taking from poor people. What's wrong with you? You're an underage boy. What's wrong with you? It's like, well, I just wanted the money.
And I think it's important for guys to talk about this because it's affecting boys, right? Like, we were boys once, and obviously, I think we can sympathize with the teenage boys, both in the sense that they probably thought it was a good idea at first, right? Because and then when you realize how much power she actually has over you, it might change your thinking a little bit.
But for the most part, you're thinking with that smaller head.
There's that element, and then the reason why it's also important for us to talk about it is because when this happens to a girl, like a male teacher with a girl, people are always outraged. The entire men and women are outraged at it.
That is way hypocrisy. Yeah,
It's like a huge there's a Papa Bear that comes out in men. It's like, this guy is taking advantage of this innocent little girl. Let's kill him. It's like
The George Lopez said it best in the George Lopez show.
I remember this episode.
Where he said that
there's a pedophile in our neighborhood. Let's go get him.
He said when the big bad wolf is after Little Red Riding Hood, it's bad and it needs to be stopped. But when Mama Goose is walking around, we all know that
Jack and the Beanstalk.
Jack and the Beanstalk, that he wants it too. So it's all good. It's kind of like that type of, I guess you say, like ignorance of like boys are mostly horny and they want to fuck, and it's like, well, they want it, and so like meanwhile, I guess you could say that men are mostly the aggressor and wanting more sexual experiences compared to women. So it could be that they're easily manipulated, and it's not really the girl. It's 100% consenting. And then just the image of it's just different. You see a young girl, you always see her as innocent, whether she's your daughter or your niece. You just see her as innocent. It's always like you just want to protect. If I saw a little girl on the street, it's like you want to protect her, right? I see a man walking around that I may not know her, but I'm like, that guy's creepy. Why is he walking? Because I notice weird things like that. Even if it's not my own kid, I see things in other people's children. I go, that guy's a little weird. Why is he like? I just notice it, and I don't even care. Like, that's got nothing to do with that kid. But I just notice things like that. So it's just innate where you see something and just angers you, compared to where it's a male. You kind of feel like, oh, that's my dog. It's just different mentally and like biologically, but morally it's wrong, but we don't really acknowledge it.
Are men to blame for that? Do you think men are to blame for that ignorance?
I would say to a point, yeah, because we are men, we just want it, and then we just want it, and so when we think, oh, if I could have got it, I would have got it when I was young. It's not really, bad, but regardless if we want it or not, it's still morally wrong, and you have to really think logically and say, doesn't matter if you can get it, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. Just because you can doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, and a lot of these comments, like on Twitter, when you see the New York Times post about it, you see a lot of guys like say, my teachers didn't look like that when I was in school, or man, I couldn't be, why couldn't that be me? That's always the first thing. But the only people who push back on those comments are women. I never see a guy go, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, this is a kid.
Yeah.
Because if you go, well, you were a kid, they go, yeah, and I would have wanted it, That's kind of like the conversation would devolve into. So if you think men are responsible for this idea we have about boys being sexualized by their adult male teachers, do you think it's men's responsibility to change that mindset that society has, that we gave ourselves? Like, hey, pat a boy on the back if he gets to sleep with his teacher. Like, do you think it's our responsibility to change that mindset?
To a certain point, guy culture, bro culture has to acknowledge certain little things. I mean, it's cool when you're with your bros and you're talking about individual experiences, but you can't, not every experience, not your personal opinion or what you, or your experiences or future experiences that you're hoping to have is what every man wants. And I think that's what they have to differentiate is that, it'll be all three of us personally like, oh, we wish we were fucking, teenagers and we were kids, but the next guy, neighbor or anything may not feel the same way. And I think they kind of have to acknowledge, like, morally it's wrong. Not every guy wants that. Within our group, we want it, but they don't. And then it goes to the other discussion of when we have our kids tell our boys, saying, listen, we know you want it because I wanted it, but it's wrong. Wait till you're 18 and just blast all day you want. But right now, it's just wrong. You can't do that. When you're 18, for your teacher. But right now, no, it's wrong. We have to kind of teach our boys and say, there's healthy sexual discussion that can be a little bit perverted. Like we all very, especially me. I'm a very perverted, things that say. Like there's a healthy amount, and I wouldn't really teach my son that. I would try to show him to be, a proper gentleman. Here's right, here's wrong. Still be a retard if you want, but remember your morals first, and then be a retard. Like as much as I say fucked up, I know really the difference between right or wrong, and then these kids really don't, and then they go and they do something, make them which is not their fault. They're learning, so it's up to parents and mostly fathers to really teach their kids. And I don't think a lot of fathers really teach their kids sex or sexual matters in that kind of way. Like you just have like the basic discussion of sex and this and that, but they don't have a more deeper talk with like, listen, son, I know you're a handsome young man and you're gonna be plowing in high school. Like they don't go up and strip, tell them like have your fun, but be safe. To just give the generalization. Don't get pregnant or whatever schools teach or whatever. They're not really having that type of bro talk saying, I know what you're going to do in college. I know what you want because I wanted that.
Yeah.
But understand here's right and here's wrong. Do it the right way. Don't go on this path of like, because the internet said, oh, no, here's right, here's wrong. Here's what guys say because what they say, and here's what you really should do. And if we kind of teach our boys that, maybe they won't be saying grab them by the and actually do it. Maybe there'll be more like I'll ask her like you want to get rammed tonight, and if she says buy me some drinks, and go yeah, let's go to Pound Town.
Buy me some drinks.
But don't just go up and
I mean the sad truth about that is that sometimes it's just they're already learning all that before you could even tell them, what is right, what is wrong. And not even just that. You'll have, again, like you said, there's that culture where kids fall into where their parents were at. These kids fall into it, and then even their friends. That's who they're influenced a lot by. The little buddies they're going around, and a lot of these kids who are like that have a really strong character. Really strong. They tend to overtake other kids just because they're of a different dynamic. I guess. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's what it is. We come to the age where things are just easily accessible before anybody could, understand where exactly you're at in age.
So I guess the same question goes to you, because he said it is. Do you think it's men's responsibility to change the mindset that society has on female teachers abusing their male students?
I think, yeah, communicating more with your kids about, the possibility of things that they might be seeing around them. Again, like these cases are becoming way more common. So I think talking about it and just letting them know the rights or wrongs, and like you said, their morals comes first. Yeah, but honestly, I also believe that it's just a hard thing to do because, again, it is the culture itself already. It's like engraved into the society that we are in, as men. It's always
room, bro talk, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's always like, I'll dab you up for what you did. Like, damn, you fucked the teacher. Oh, damn, that's my boy. All that shit. and it's just like it's like a positive thing that turned out to be in this culture. But I think it's just gonna be a little. It's still gonna be challenging to do all that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, the bad comes with the good comes with the bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to respect a woman. You know,
Yeah.
you guys grew up around like nothing but women and all that stuff. On the other hand, I grew up with a lot of guys in my family, but you know, and a lot of like family friends or dudes and all this stuff. And I've definitely seen, you know, they treat the women great and stuff, but there's definitely like the other side of it, and I feel like those were the ones that had like major impact on me and like how I would treat somebody, you know, especially a woman in the way like that's not how, you know, there was examples of how I would want to and how I wouldn't, you know, and I mean. For me, fortunately, I knew already, you know, how to decide what would be bad, what is good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely starts in like the home dynamic with the parents, for sure.
I want to give you guys a scenario. I'll start with you, Jay, first. You catch your son texting somebody. He's out all the time, right? He's not paying attention to you whenever you talk to him. These past few weeks, say it's been going on for 2 weeks. So you take his phone from him. He gets upset at you. And
Beat his ass.
he's like, oh, hey, that's my phone. What are you doing? And you're scrolling his text messages, and you see a naked picture from his teacher, and you know it's his teacher because you just went to the PTA meeting just like a few days ago, and you know that's the exact same teacher from like his English class. What's the first thing you do?
Well, dude, the first thing I can do is like go to the police, cause like, first of all, you got to think about the age range. You know, you're a whole ass grown person. Like you know way better than these kids. You're not supposed to be doing that, especially in an environment where you're always exposed to kids. You know, they shouldn't, you know, be remotely anywhere near stuff like this. You know, and I mean, yeah, I'd go to the police and just let them know like this isn't the right kind of person to be around all these kids. You know, and again, it also I don't know if it would come. I mean, you can't really predict who's gonna be like that. You know, you can't say the people who hired her, the school, and all that. But yeah, I definitely go out there and like expose this kind of behavior as soon as I can before, you know, another kid falls for it too. You know, I'd definitely be angry for sure.
What would your response be to your son?
Well, I try to. I definitely. Well, look, I can't say I'd be upset. You know, uh, because he's still learning all this stuff. So I definitely go with him. I have definitely a serious talk to let them know that none of this behavior is correct, and he, you know. But I honestly, before that, I think I would definitely establish a sort of way that we can communicate without any issue. More like you can tell me stuff, trust me, you know, all this stuff, and that just comes back to like the family dynamic itself, you know, where you can actually present like be within like a comfortable place where your kid can talk to you about all this stuff. So if anything like this comes out here, or you know, you teach them between wrong and right, and they can come up to you and show you all this stuff. Be like, look, maybe you can help me out, help me figure out whether this is right or wrong that the teacher is doing. But yeah, I do that.
Same question goes to you. Say in 13 years, your son is 16, right? And you see him not paying attention to you. He's always on his phone, laughing, smiling at nothing. Like, obviously, you don't hear anything. You just see him smiling, giggling. And you tell him, let me see your phone. And I assume he gives it to you because I feel like he might be listening to you like that. Like, who you always talking to?
You better.
Like, who you always talking to? Let me see.
Why is I like the black guy from that old TV show? Who are you talking to?
Who you talking to? Let me see your phone. Like, I want to know who is this girl? Or you may be cool, but you got a girlfriend? Let me see. And if he hesitate to show you, that's when you look, Samuel, let me see. Like, what do you have on here? And then you take the phone from him. Maybe because maybe he fights you for it, you push him off, you slap him. I don't know what you're gonna do. And then you
bring you flashbacks
you scroll through his phone and you see a nude image of his teacher. You know his teacher because you've been to the school all the time. She's always nice to you, but you see she's doing this to your son. You see all the stuff she's saying about her sleeping with your son, making out with him. What's the first thing you do?
blackmail her.
Oh, damn!
Like, from now on, what you're doing to him, you're doing to me until he's graduated or going to police.
Oh my god!
Hey, yo, he's got something going on there.
That is the
He's on to
craziest
something.
one.
Damn, dude, you're the kind of people you want the kids looking at.
I fixed the problem. There
You're
we
the
go.
influence we're talking about.
There we go. See, I ordered a whole mess and I get something out of it.
Oh,
Damn, that's right. Hey, but he made it work for himself. Damn, gotta admire that kind of work.
Okay, so what's your response to Samuel?
Oh, but-
Or what's your response to your son?
My serious thing.
Yeah,
though-
you're like, I'm obviously joking.
Well, that's always an option. I wouldn't say joking, but well, it would be two things. It'd be like, one, you would get upset, get upset and think about doing the right thing, or two would be like, well, you kind of like, you don't want to go through all that hassle and police are gonna come, then child services are coming. We know how that's going, and it just makes a mess. And then if you're gonna end up in the news and like, oh God, now my son is, so it's kind of like you feel a little bit embarrassed. I feel a little bit embarrassed and kind of just want to, sweep it under the rug, but probably still, confront the teacher. It'll be two things. It'll be a full-on assault where it's like, you do all the things you're supposed to do. She gets fired or arrested, whatever. Or kind of try to hide it, but still tell the teacher, like, hey, I'm not going to go to no authorities or the police, but, I have all this and what you done, and, we could just pretend this never happened, and, I already researched you, and I know everything about you, where you live, and your family. Basically, like, threatening her and say, I'm going to hurt you or your family. Just,
Threatening her?
Yeah, like, don't.
Damn.
Take my threat as the best thing that could happen to you, because you could be in
Wouldn't that count
jail.
you as an accomplice, though, since you already know all this stuff, but you're not doing anything about it?
There would be no proof of that, though. So it would just be like, we're going to just pretend it didn't happen. The messages and everything stopped here. I don't want to deal with all this. I don't want to deal with the shame and the guilt and the whole, all this. And then if
How old would Sam be? 13?
he,
It's 13 years, so he'd be 16. Yeah.
You'd be saying, okay, at 16, this boy's gonna talk about it. There's your proof.
that be like, boy, you ain't gonna say nothing. Otherwise, one, they're gonna take you from me. Two, you're gonna be all over the news. You're gonna be a victim. You want to look like a victim?
That goes back to, you should have been like, well, that's my boy.
That's the easiest route.
That's exactly where you're leading to.
So it would be like one of those. It's like it goes to either shame and you don't want to deal with all that and acknowledge it, or it goes to anger and you just want to,
But the thing is, shame. Why would you go straight to shame,
because you don't want to. Everyone feels bad when their child gets molested or raped, and the last thing you want to do is, proclaim it out there where everyone knows, oh, that's the boy that got fucked by his teacher.
Right. You think, like, just, like, you don't want to make him out to be a victim and have
Yeah.
that place in that victim sort of mentality?
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. So it'd be like this shame of like, now my boy's gonna be a victim. Everyone's gonna know, the news, the whole school, all this, and it's just, and who knows too how he feels. That's why women don't report rape, because they don't want to be a victim. So
Yeah.
that's why they don't do any of that stuff. So
Yeah.
this is not a woman being raped, and it's a boy, and maybe he wanted it a bit, or if he didn't, still there's still that thing where it's like, like, does he want this to be out there? Most likely, these boys don't want it to be out there. They would,
but it's usually not victimized when it comes down to it. It's just like, again, it just comes out to like social norms, the women being, petite, very sensitive, weak, the victims that they weren't able to do anything about it, I feel like it just comes back to all that.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be a tough one. Maybe one of those two things.
Yeah.
What would be your response to Samuel? Or what would be your response to your son?
Boy, what the f*** are you thinking? Like, you out there banging on 20-year-olds when you got 16-year-olds? Like, what the f***? Like, what's wrong with you?
Like, you want old boy?
Yeah.
Used old?
He's got stretched out, he's got some kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that.
He's got kids older than you, or younger than you.
Younger than you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because I think men process things different. So it's kind of like, it'd be a strange feeling, because the first thing would be like, boy, what the f*** what's wrong with you? And then knock him, you know. Yeah.
What?
What's wrong with you, boy? But other than that, I wouldn't really know how else I would feel or tell him. Like,
You'd feel a little pride.
maybe he'd be like, damn, all right, my boy was chosen.
Yeah, she chosen.
But my loins, that means by him, she's kind of also choosing me.
Oh my god, that's quite the stretch.
That is
These good genes.
quite a way to look at it. She's by some way she's choosing you too. Wow.
Living vicariously through his son's child molestation, I guess.
It was alright. His mother.
The fantasy. There you go. That's her
But
fantasy.
That's a part of the fantasy, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
but
The new one. The newer though.
besides that, I don't know. Probably it's kind of hard to really say that. I wouldn't really know.
Is it hard to say because at some point you still feel like how that culture is like affecting you? Like you don't see it as how it would be, say, a male teacher and a female student.
A lot of it is because of that. So it's hard to push my own bias and what's already the social norm of that. The other part is also the little part of like you don't want to kind of admit your child is a victim of something, and it kind of feels like you're trying to ignore it. So
That's real.
yeah, so you want to admit he's a victim, so you kind of push it and accept what's already pushed in society and be like, yeah, my boy, because you don't want to really accept he's a victim and accept that guilt of your boy's a victim, you failed as a parent, all those type of feelings. So it's very, very complicated, but the talk would definitely be about, the wrong with you. Maybe have a long discussion, and then it goes into the next thing of like, well, how do you feel trying to get engaged without putting words in his mouth? 'Cause I feel like sometimes people try to influence people that say they felt they were victimized when maybe they didn't feel that way. They didn't feel like it, and then they make them feel that way. Kind of like how you have some of those women that say, well, kind of sounds like he raped you. Like, did it feel? And they kind of push, and the next thing the women say, you know what, he did rape me. And then that's when you had all those guys that are being accused of rape, when it was a lot of people, like one of the comedians like Angie and Zara, someone said, well, that was just like a bad date. You just had a bad date and you had bad sex. That's not necessarily rape. You're just regretting your bad decision. It's like, then it's that type of thing. You don't want to push them to make them feel something they're not really feeling.
Right.
So then it's that struggle of like trying to question him without making him feel bad. Just saying, well, how did this happen? What did you do? How did this transpire? How, every little detail without pushing a narrative. And then after he said everything, well, what do you think about this? And from going from there. But it is a difficult thing to think about because, like he said, there's already the social norm, the stigma, and you don't want to admit your child's a victim.
It's already subconsciously put in you.
The New York Post has one of these stories, what feels like almost every week. I think it's closer to one every month. Do you think the sensationalism of these stories is a part of the problem? Who wants to go first?
The sensationalism of this.
Of this type of ordeal, right? Like, I guess I should say the framing, right? Like, what some people have noticed, I think it's even been spoofed by The Onion. It's like whenever some white person commits a terrible crime, they always pick like a photo of them skiing together, right? Like it's like man murders wife and 3 daughters, and it's a picture of them on a skiing trip, right, on the jet ski.
Like happy having
yeah.
life.
And it's like he cut off all their heads and ate their bodies. It's like.
Yeah.
and in this case, it's like they'll say, teacher, high school teacher, they're 27, to put the age 27, is convicted on sex crimes or sex charges for having sex with teenage male student 16, and they pick like the most beautiful picture they can find of her.
Yeah, right. I mean,
unless she's ugly, then they pick the worst picture they can find of her. If you've seen that, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, and it has to do with like their wording. They don't say rape; they said had sex.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
another one. I like that.
Oh,
yeah. And again,
right.
with what they're posing, the most beautiful picture versus the ugly picture. Some guys are gonna be like, well, shit, why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And I think that is an issue too, you know.
Top comment always here: the damn who snitched.
Yeah. For real.
That's true. I'm glad you brought up the wording, the framing. It's like, oh, when a male teacher does it to a female teacher, he raped his student.
Yeah.
When a female teacher does it to her male student, they had sex.
They had sex, yeah.
You know, or it's like a 16-year-old man, 16-year-old young man and a 20-year-old woman, or a 27-year-old woman teacher.
Oh, you're right. Sometimes they'll say the teenager or the man or whatever.
Yeah.
And for the girl, let's say the little girl
Or the girl, the minor.
The child, the minor. Yeah, you're right.
Minor,
The
yeah.
wording is. Yeah, the wording is.
It's
different.
very important.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they try to downplay the actual age of the boy in place. So and it's incredible because when you open up like the articles, right, and you see them very beautiful, and then you scroll down and then they're like ugly crying because they got like life or something.
Yeah.
You know, in jail, or it's never usually life. It's like 20 years. So they're like all ugly crying, you know, with their lawyers like walking them out. And they ain't so beautiful anymore at that point, you know.
Yeah.
So in that sense, that type of sensationalism, do you think that's part of the problem?
Yeah, I definitely do, for sure. Again, like you said, it plays down in the boy situation, just having sex. It plays down the age. Tries to play down the problem subtly, you know. Mm-hmm. Whereas where it is a girl, again, it comes out to the social norm dynamics. They just try to, you know, protect women at all times, which obviously you should, but it should be the same all around. I think so.
What do you think, man?
I'm not really sure. Maybe to a certain extent that they kind of do promote that male mindset. Maybe to a certain extent that not really 100% sure if that really adds to it. Maybe you could say somewhat adds to it because it seems like they're promoting, you know, that old social construct, you know, oh, you know, that he's a boy, kind of like, you know, want it anyway, or maybe they word it that way because maybe deep inside they believe, you know, subconsciously that men, you know, they always say men always hold the power. So if men hold the power against women to force them to have sex, and even if they're a minor, they could still hold some power over an adult woman, which is a whole new discussion, whole new thing to talk about. Maybe subconsciously it's also that plays into it why they word it like that. But honestly, probably not. I'm not really sure. You know, I'm not really sure how much influence the media has on that particular subject with that, but who knows? Maybe tiny smidget.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to me because whenever I would see these stories, like I would see them every so often, and I would think that they're only being highlighted because it's the New York Post. The New York Post is owned by Rupert Murdoch. He hates public schools. He's invested in private schools, so he wants to destroy the reputation of public schools as much as he can to, you know, encourage a privatization and the end of public schools. Until I started seeing it happen a lot more often. First, I was like, it's a right-wing, like a propaganda tool to say, oh, look, all your public school teachers are just sexual pedophiles. But then when you start seeing they're using only beautiful pictures of these women, when you start seeing them downplaying the titles, the names of calling them like 16-year-old young man, right, to hide the fact that he's also a minor, then I started to think it's part of a fetish, right? Like these writers, I never look at the names of the writers, but they're published on there. I probably should to see how many of them are men writing and how many of them are women writing these stories.
Never thought about that.
Right? It's that mindset, that framing is going to be what tells the story. If it's women, that'd be interesting. I find that very, very interesting. But it's the New York Post, so I'm pretty certain it's going to be men. Because it's owned by right-wingers, the Rupert Murdoch. So I do think maybe they have two goals. One, they're playing on the fetish of people who want to see stories like this because they sexualize it, and to get that audience. And then the second audience is the people who hate public school and want to find any reason to attack it. Mm-hmm. It's like, look, you got your perverts to attack in public school, and you got your perverts who enjoy the story. You know, you get two types of audiences.
Oh damn.
You know that you're maximizing your exposure time. Oh look, he's doing the puka nakua. Yeah, the
Or what flies do.
yeah. You want to do it too?
Flies rub their hands.
Yeah. Oh. Have you seen that meme where it's like, girls who are raised up by their fathers, and it's like boys who are raised by their parents or something, and then it's like boys who are raised by flies, and they're.
We gotta get this, man. We gotta get this pushing. You know, we slowed down a lot.
Exactly. So I'm trying to pick us back up. You know, get us out there. All right. So.
I don't know these topics will do it. Bury it.
Oh, you think so? Nah, I think we're gonna get.
I think it's controversial enough for people to really click on it and wanna give their own opinion on stuff.
Oh, hell yeah, I love hate comments. All I do is troll.
Unless we find people go, you guys are soft. You guys are like.
Look at these guys trying to be this so corny, so edgy.
Man, if a kid wants to have sex with his teacher, let him. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know.
You are who we talking about.
We're talking about, man. Listen, if you were touched, tell somebody. You know, talk about it. You probably were touched by your uncle. It wasn't your hot teacher, it was your uncle, and you're just afraid to admit it. You know, you don't want to be a victim.
If it was your teacher and you're not ashamed and you're not a victim, come tell us about it. If you want to.
But a lot of this often comes from places like that, right? They go, well, I had sex at 9 years old. You know, it should be cool for anybody underage to have sex with anybody.
And there's weird laws like that now, right?
There's a lot of, well, I mean, in the case of like child marriage laws, that they exist like in the South.
No, I think in like that too, but in some other states, it's like, it's. You can have you can have sex with a minor if you're a minor too, right? Well,
yeah.
Which makes sense.
Within like 2 years.
Within like yeah, definitely not. You don't
If you're a 15-year-old having sex with a 9-year-old, that's crazy.
Yeah, you don't be 17 with like a 10-year-old.
No,
yeah, that's weird.
That's very weird.
That's extremely weird, man. I don't know why you would have brought it up, man.
Yeah, I didn't know. Not the one who brought it up, man. I don't know. It was this guy. This guy brought it up.
Yeah, why would you bring it up? God damn.
You know, I guess you could say I'm still a kid at heart.
Yeah, you're trans age.
Trans age?
Yeah, that's like that.
Is that what it is? Would that be like part of like a midlife crisis thing?
No, that trans age is a conspiracy that was created by 4chan to pin pedophilia on trans people. So they're like, hey, let's play this troll operation where we say you could be transracial, transgender, and trans age, and so like while you are physically 50 years old, you identify as a 13-year-old, and that means you can have sex with the same amount of people in the same age because mentally you're there. It's a 4chan troll. It's a huge trolling operation.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Yeah, no one actually believes it.
Oh no, there's people who believe it.
Well, I feel like the people who came up with it probably thought about it.
Those are the ones who believe it. Yeah.
And
we're gonna troll people.
Yeah, it's only a joke, guys. It's only a joke.
I don't believe it, guys. We're just gonna put it out
Okay,
there.
just blame the trans for everything.
That's it. Oh, we're just doing it to attack trans people, guys. We're not really trying to get it accepted or normalized. We're just attacking the trans people.
Hell yeah.
And then inside they're like, but if you think it's cool, you know. Yeah.
Unless you think it's cool.
Unless you think it's cool, they're like, what's wrong with you? Oh, I got you.
But I know, no, I'm joking, man. I'm joking, dude. It's a joke, man.
Yeah, I always think about that, like these people who go nuts over these type of things, and like, is this like what they're battling with in their head? Like,
yeah, they probably think about it a lot. Dude. Those are the people who cannot let those intrusive thoughts like lose. They let them win.
So they try to make the global public participate by.
They're trying to find their group.
Yeah,
people who can comfort them and say, "Yeah, dude, you're onto something for sure." It's just a ball of creeps.
But well, I think this was a good discussion. I feel like we gave a lot of good points. I think this is an important discussion that we had. You know, we were very honest about a lot of things. Maybe too honest. No, I'm just
Not enough.
Not enough honest. You're still a mask in front of us as long as that camera's on. But like, if you enjoyed content like this, if you want us to do more, please let us know in the comment section down below of this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with people you think need to hear it. If you think everything we said is important, do not forget to subscribe to our Patreon, $3 a month. Unfortunately, Patreon has raised the low tier to $3. So, you get all episodes uncensored and 2 days in advance.
Yep.
You get access to all of our bonus content from the bands we've had on, like Sad Name and Sirius. No refunds, and Lake Midnight. They performed their entire projects for us. Only on our page on our Patreon, you can view the rest of the songs. If you've enjoyed that, if we have higher tiers, like $25 tiers, and that's only if you really want to support us, and it can help us create more short films that we want to do in the future, and it'll help us create it a lot faster and achieve this dream of ours. So we thank you for watching.
For every like you don't give, the Mossad wins.
Yeah.
Presented without comment. Thank you to our sponsor, Dubby, if they still want to sponsor us on this
Please
episode.
do it, man. Come on, we still have
We're still there. Every purchase made at checkout, use TOTBENT at checkout for 30% off.
30.
Wait, no, 10% off, right? 10%
I was like,
off.
God
Yeah,
damn.
no, I forgot.
All
That's
right, I'm buying.
No, I forgot. That's our code. If we use our partner code, we get 30% off. So, 10% off all orders
Yes.
on W. Thank you for sponsoring us. We hope you still want to sponsor us after this episode.
Please.
And we hope to see you all again next week when we have more fun with my brother. Man, he opened the show for the first time. I think he did a great job.
I am not suicidal, and I love APAC.
Yeah. Well, there we go. And you're gonna see him as the bit on APAC Tracker. You're gonna see him on APAC Tracker,
Yeah.
absorbing the most amount of money from them, like $12 million.
God damn.
He's gonna be out there and be like, "I love Netanyahu." Yes. So that's gonna be a clip. Watch.
Nah.
Me saying that. But anyway, thank you all for watching. So we'll see you again next week, and remember, never forget. Don't be a chump.
Not be a chump, man.
Hey, get with the program. Don't be a chump.
Come on, son.
And then 6, 7. There we go.
No,
All
no, no,
All right, you guys
No.
have a good one.
no.
Man. Nothing but brain rot.